Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. We're
Good
so happy to have you with us here.
Woohoo.
We're gonna get started in about 1 minute. What
Yes.
time is it actually?
It is
Oh,
11.
11. We're gonna start right now. Just a reminder, this is being recorded and all the materials will get sent to you at the end of class, including we're gonna have some great shareables that will come to your email as well as the whole slide deck. Before we get started, we're super excited to present with you today Vision to Reality Day 7. We are on effective operations systems that will maximize your return. And my name is Anne Marie Rieger. I'm here with Andrea Morrison.
Good morning.
And we are going to kick things off with a good friend of ours we've known for years, who provides a phenomenal service to real estate professionals. Mitch Palmer is here from Palmer Bookkeeping.
Super excited. Thanks for being here, Mitch. Is Mitch on?
Is he muted? Oh dear.
Oh.
We might have lost Mitch.
Uh-oh.
Love technology.
I know it. There he
Here
is.
he's back. All right, Mitch, we're ready for you when you are. Take it away.
Hello, can you hear me?
We sure can.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to RCC for letting me be on for a few minutes. I just wanted to tell you real quick what we do at Palmer Bookkeeping, kind of who I am. I've been doing this for about 12, 13 years, providing bookkeeping services for realtors. I worked for Keller Williams Realty for about 9 years as the MCA, as the financial manager in a large office in Portland. And that's actually where I met Craig and Anne Marie. And he worked in that office for a while as an agent. And I started doing books or financials for agents. Like I said, about 12 years ago, I was doing them part-time, kind of nights and weekends. Got to the point where I had enough bookkeeping clients that I quit my day job and started doing bookkeeping full-time for agents. I now do bookkeeping for agents throughout the country. And I was a real estate agent myself and for a while. So I feel like I know you guys very well. I know how to I know how to speak real estate language. And even though I was a realtor for a while, I did okay at that, but that's not my strong point. You guys are the salespeople. You guys go out and sell houses and let me do your books because that's what I enjoy doing. What I do is along with my team, we've got 5 people on the team. We collect your financial information monthly. So we collect your commission information. We collect your bank account, your business, checking, credit card transactions. And then we use QuickBooks and we enter all that into QuickBooks and we enter everything into the real estate categories. So we have things like lead generation, we have supplies, we have technology, we have open houses, we have signs. What I tried to do when I put this business together is not only make a report that you can use for your taxes, which you can, but also a report that you can use as a business tool. So I know you guys talked a lot yesterday about financials and having your P&L, having your planning for the future with budgets and so forth. So I tried to make these reports so that you can actually look at them and see how much you spent on lead generation, for example, last month or last quarter. And then you can use those, of course, for your financial goals this next year. So I enter everything into the categories and then I send to you on a monthly basis a profit and loss statement, profit and loss by month, the transaction report. There's about 5 or 6 reports that I send to you every month. Of course, you can look at those, see what you did last month, plan your goals for the next month. And then at the end of the year, you'll get a report that you can give to your CPA for your taxes, and you're done. You don't have to spend hours or days or weeks getting all your receipts and everything together, because it will be done for you.
Pulling out the shoebox, Mitch, with all the receipts.
Yeah,
How many of us have
exactly.
been there? Probably a lot.
I have pictures of people giving me grocery sacks full of receipts. And,
Yes, I imagine. I don't know if you can see the chat box, Mitch, but so many people chiming in. Love you, Mitch. 100%. My CPA loves Mitch. Like, guys, we cannot vouch for Mitch's services enough. Do not try to be a bookkeeper. This is the number one thing, in my opinion,
Yes.
you should leverage off your plate immediately. So, Mitch, do we have your contact information?
Yes, it's all
Yeah.
It's on there.
screen.
There,
Yes.
there we go. Okay.
Our little pictures are covering it. Yep, his information is all there. Feel free to reach out to him. Mitch, is there anything else that they should know about you and contacting you?
All the information is on palmerbookkeeping.com. The other thing I tried to do is make it affordable for everybody, not just the top producers, not just the big agents, but for everybody. So for as little as $93 a month, we can do this for you every month, and then you've got it done for the year.
Amazing.
Amazing.
All
Awesome.
right. Thank you so much,
All
Mitch.
right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right.
Move us along. There we go.
Okay.
There's us.
Yay. This is kind of weird, you guys. We can't see you. I don't like it.
I know.
So we're going to really encourage lots of participation via the chat box. Questions, comments, emojis, whatever you can send us to
Love
give
it.
us some feedback.
Yes. If something really sticks out to you, please share it with us. It probably stuck out to others, and we like to hear that as well.
Oh, look at that. We just got a little happy
Oh.
face.
Yay.
All right, real quick about us. We will not spend too much time on here. I've been coaching, gosh, probably 10 to 12 years now, mega agents and teams from across the country. And inevitably, my specialty evolved to be operations and systems. I think that's just my natural sort of behavior and strength. So regardless of what my coaching relationship began, as it evolved into, how do we solve this with a system? How do we solve this with a process? So that's kind of my passion. So we're super excited to present to you today. And Andrea.
Ooh, that's me. I think over the last 11 or 12 years that I've been in real estate, I have held, I think, every real estate position under the sun.
100%.
So from, like just being a showing agent, buyer's agent, operations, running a sales
All the
team.
sort of administrative roles.
Yes, exactly. And then also managing broker of our brokerage. So kind of shooting from sort of all over the board to come here with what we're bringing you today. Also tremendous background in coaching as well. I've been coaching for the last 7 or 8 years. It's a passion of mine to be able to teach others and help you guys get to the next level that you want to get to as well.
And she's being a little bit modest because you kind of skipped over your own mega agent production. Andrea was a massive producer herself, so she can also bring the perspective of the pain of a mega agent who maybe doesn't have a great system in place or what have you. So hopefully you'll find lots of great relevant strategies and concepts to plug into your business right away, whether you're a solo agent or whether you're running a massive team or whether you're an operations person within a team. Our intent and goal is that you'll all find some really great value today.
Yeah, and from that standpoint, when we talk today about operations or an executive assistant or whatever we call it, really that could be you as a solo agent wearing different hats, or that could be somebody that you're outsourcing or leveraging to virtually or in your office or whatever. So please take that term with a grain of salt, and we're just put yourself in that position if you're a solo agent, or think about that person who runs that role for you. These are just great systems and ideas that work and will make your company, maximize your revenue, maximize your profit. Like, it's going to help you get more business regardless of what your structure is. So please keep that in mind.
Really good point. And I think it's important, solo agents, to realize when you're doing certain tasks as part of these systems, you are functioning in an administrative role. So when we think sometimes of our sort of dollar per hour activities, that's just an awareness piece. You might love doing that. Awesome, keep doing it. And just recognize you are no longer functioning as maybe an $800 an hour listing agent. You are now functioning as a
$25 an hour flyer maker.
Exactly. One other caveat I want to say, we're going to mention a lot of different systems and processes. Please do not get hung up on the specific tool used to implement these systems. You might have a preference for Google Docs. Someone else might want to actually use a paper checklist. That's not our emphasis today. Our emphasis is on the concepts of the systems, not the specific tool used to implement the system. So don't get hung up on that. All right.
Super good.
Okay. Our agenda.
Create a 5-star client experience, leverage your success team, and then we're going to go beyond just the transaction.
All right, let's do it. So why do operations systems even matter in the first place?
Yes.
Processes and systems are what actually are going to determine our client experience.
Mhm.
And so when we deliver a superior customer experience, what can we expect to get? Well, we should be getting 5-star reviews. We're going to be quoting some statistics and definitions throughout today. And please know that all our sources will be cited at the end. We have a list of recommended books for you that will come as part of your package after the class. Andrea,
Yes.
59% of consumers chose a brand, product, company, whatever, because of something they heard or read about someone else's experience, even if they didn't know that person.
Sounds like a review.
Sounds like a review. So 5-star reviews are probably pretty important to get.
60% of people apparently are reading them.
Yeah. All right. What else should we get when we have a superior customer experience?
We should get a repeat business.
Amazing.
People want to come back and work with you again because they had such a great experience.
So Andrea, when you were an agent,
Mhm.
was it easier or harder to work with a past client?
Easier, right? Why would I not want to work with somebody who I already know, who I already have a relationship, who I've already built that bond and trust with, versus going out and knocking on doors or cold calling or what have you in order to rework that process all over again? Of course, I want to work with repeat business.
100%. You work so hard to service that client. Wouldn't it suck to not get
Do it
to
again,
help them
do it again,
again?
do it
Like,
again.
I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Okay.
Totally.
Our superior customer experience should also deliver
Referrals.
90% of consumers believe brand recommendations from friends.
Oh, so 60%, 59% are believing basically a review, right? Somebody that they don't know is saying something. 90% from friends and family. That's huge.
So that means 90% of the time you're referred, you're likely to get the business.
Of course. Yep. But now we have to do, which we're going to talk about, all these great things to have a superior customer service experience in order to get to those reviews, those referrals to gain that business, right? So that's great. We know the statistics and where it comes from, but now how do we do that?
Exactly. So also, I mean, what even is client experience?
Oh,
Like what
is it?
What does it even mean? Well, let's find out. All right. So we're going to define the customer experience today as how customers feel about every single interaction with you, with your brand, with your company.
Effective operation system. Sorry, I was going to ask actually, can you guys put into the chat box what defining the customer experience means to you? We're going to kind of run through it, but as we're talking, I'd love to hear what some of those things are to you specifically, and kind of share those. So effective operation systems enable us to deliver a customer experience 3 different ways. 1, efficiently. There's clarity around who does what, when, where, why, and how, right? So we got to be efficient.
Mm-hmm. You're not just flying by the seat of our pants, which actually ultimately takes a lot more time.
Mm-hmm.
It also enables you to deliver an experience repeatedly. In other words, every customer will get the same or similar experience when working with your company. Guys, think of like Nordstrom. You don't necessarily care who you work with at Nordstrom because you know what your experience shopping there will be like. It's also going to enable you to solve and prevent repeat problems. So, oh my gosh, this transaction, I had this blow up. What can I put in my system
So that never happens again.
exactly? So you're just getting better and better because you're doing the same system every time.
And again, it's like, right, why reinvent the wheel? It's kind of like, why are we going out and pounding doors to get that bit? It's like, let's just keep learning from what we have and what we've got and keep going and going and going and adding and making it better and better, right? So we're going to do that, and then we're going to repeat what works over and over and over. So we have to have a duplicatable system. What do we got in the chat box?
So I just saw, where did it go? Sarah Prentice, customer experience is personalized process tailored to your client. I love that.
It.
And what we're going to talk about is how you can plug in that personalization while maintaining a systematic process that every client can count on.
Yes.
I love that.
Alex Martin said, anticipating client needs before they arise, seamless process. Ooh,
Yes.
somebody's reading ahead, I think. Andy says they feel like they are on the same page with the process and are clear ahead of time. Yes, exactly. Anticipating, same thing. Yes. Mike Shaw, giving them an informational experience to create comfort, also giving them the expertise for them to make the hard decisions with ease. Service over sales.
Love that.
Smart. All right.
All right. So the third thing is an effective operations systems is going to allow us to service an unlimited number of customers. It's going to create a scalable business. How, Andrea? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, when you can create something that's repeated and duplicatable, you can actually just kind of keep doing it, right? It's scalable, it's unlimited. You can just keep adding and adding and adding. You can train others to follow this system and process so they deliver the exact same experience. So there's not only, back to Anne-Marie's example, one Nordstrom. It's not like, oh, everybody has to come to this Nordstrom because this guy knows how to do it. Mr. Nordstrom, whatever his name is, can't remember. There's Nordstroms all over because they've created this system that's duplicatable and scalable. So they can just keep opening stores and providing that same customer experience to everybody.
Right. If you have a system, you can train people to follow a system. You can't train somebody to be you, right?
No,
So if
no.
everything's in your head or based around your personality, you're unique to you. Like nobody, that doesn't work. And we see mega agents try to do this all the time. Just do what I do, Andrea. Come on. It's not that hard.
Yes.
There's no
It doesn't work.
system. There's no process. So it does not work. So you've got to have this systematic process around your customer experience so that you can scale.
And with that being said, it's not that, right, that mentality of like, my clients will only work with me. They won't work with anybody else. I can't have somebody else do it. I can't teach them this. Yeah, you can get the process of what you do out of your head and onto paper and teach it to somebody. And they basically do become you. Like you can teach somebody to do things like
The way you do it.
So that, I don't want that to be confused that they can't think what your brain is saying. I mean, you just have to get it out and make a system for it. So make a system for how you work.
Right.
Simple. Can't say that too many other ways. All right.
So we're going to throw some stats at you again to give you some context around the disconnect between companies and consumers.
Mhm.
So I just think this is really interesting. 90% of customers believe that most brands fail at even meeting their expectations of a good experience. Not even exceed. They don't even meet their
Okay, so 9 out of 10
expectations.
people are just dissatisfied. Like you didn't meet my expectations.
Yes,
9 out of 10 people.
that's pretty
across the
lousy.
board.
Right.
That's insane.
But then this is funny. So companies, on the other hand, 82% of companies think they are meeting customer expectations. And actually 80% think they're providing a superior customer experience.
Disconnect.
Disconnect.
Big disconnect.
Yeah. And here's why that matters. Roughly half of customers said they would switch to a competitor after just one bad experience.
One. Half.
80% after 2. So you drop the ball once, you lose half. Now they're not necessarily going to fire you, but are they going to come back?
No repeat business, no
No
referrals,
referral.
no 5-star review, which we had just identified. We kind of need those, huh?
Right. Critical to the growth of your business. 80% after 2. Drop the ball twice. 80% are like moving on to somebody else.
So how do you not drop the ball?
You've got to have systems.
For
Systems.
not dropping the ball.
All right.
Let's go.
We have a funny story for you just to
love
sort
this
of
one.
illustrate this. Because you might think, well, geez, that's unreasonable. I mean, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. So come on, I did all these amazing things for you. Well, listen to this little story.
Okay.
So you're at, the nicest restaurant in town,
Ooh,
Andrea.
can we be at Jake's?
We're at Jake's.
Okay.
If you're from Portland, you know about Jake's. And what do you order?
The salmon.
Okay,
Always the
salmon,
salmon.
fresh caught from
Some
some river,
that's
maybe Craig
close to
Rieger
here,
caught it.
Maybe.
Okay, so you've got this amazing, maybe you have some appetizers
Yes.
first.
Oysters, warm bread.
It's coming
So
out,
good.
it's amazing. Your service has been phenomenal.
The wine's great.
Wine's great. So you've got an appetizer,
Yep.
a drink,
Great dinner.
great dinner,
The
amazing.
service was wonderful.
And at this point, are you thinking 5-star review?
Absolutely. My waiter's been awesome
Will-
on
Are
it.
are you gonna come back?
Of course.
Are you gonna tell your friends and family, you guys gotta go to Jake's?
I'm going to take them.
Yeah. And then what do you order for dessert?
Oh, the tiramisu.
Okay, tiramisu. Server comes out. Andrea, we have your tiramisu and a very lovely presentation. It's got one of those lid things
The
on it.
thingies, yeah.
Yeah. And they present it to you.
Mhm.
She lifts off the lid.
It's a rat.
It's a dead rat.
Oh, I'm out.
So one mistake, granted, a big one,
Yeah,
but one
gross.
mistake.
Done. Out. No
Will you-
5-star review.
Will you ever go back?
Definitely not. And I would tell everybody how bad it is.
Right.
Make sure they don't go either.
Do you even actually remember how amazing your appetizer was, or your
No.
cocktail,
No.
or your wine, or
No.
your salmon?
Nope.
No, you literally
All
don't
gone.
even
It's gone.
remember.
Yep.
You don't remember, and it certainly isn't relevant anymore. It's
Mhm.
ruined.
Completely. Right?
Get it? Okay. When you are considering your customer experience, there are kind of 2 groups you need to think about. Your existing customers.
Mhm.
So going back to that definition of customer experience, what does it feel like to be your client at the stage of being a prospect, as a current client, or as a past client?
Putting yourself in those shoes.
Yep.
How do you make them happy? How do you anticipate their needs? How do you set up systems for them?
Do
Okay.
they feel stressed? Do they feel nervous? You're
Right.
thinking about all those things.
And it's all different, right? So when you have a prospect, a lead coming through an open house, what's their mentality? What do they need? What needs can you anticipate at that point? That's different than the needs of a current client who just had a rough home inspection or is going to be delayed in closing or what have you, is different than a past client who lives in their home and the water heater just went out or what, right? So like different scenarios.
Right. They're in different stages of a relationship with you.
Exactly.
The second key group is the friends and family of your current and past clients. And why? Why do we even need to consider them?
But don't we want the referrals?
Yeah. What are they hearing about the experience of your client while working with you? When your client leaves a showing with you and goes back to the office, what are they saying about you? Oh my gosh, Andrea was amazing. She had all this great neighborhood information. She brought me a water. She,
Highly knowledgeable.
Right.
She knows what's going on. She's going to send me more houses than she did. Or did you show up with a dead rat?
right. Oh my gosh, she was 10 minutes late. She couldn't even open the lockbox. She
Hey.
didn't know anything about the neighborhood. Like,
Big
they're going to
difference,
talk
right?
about that. So
Yeah.
that's why you've got to consider both. Okay, so the systems of a 5-star experience. Let's
The-
see here.
That entire customer journey should feel like a smooth ride, right? Like the entire thing should feel like a smooth ride. Now, half of today's class, we're going to be talking about leverage and passing them off to somebody else and having an EA or transaction coordinator or whatever. Does that create a bump or a smooth ride? And how do we do that? So we'll talk a little bit further into that, but that's very important, right? We've clearly identified that thus far. 68% of customers are annoyed when transferred to different departments. And why is that? Why are they annoyed?
They're like, oh, starting all over again. I
Yeah.
just told you all the stuff I need. Now I have to tell her too. And
Why are you selling your
feels like a
house?
waste of
What
my
do you
time.
need?
Who are you? I just want to go back to him over there.
I
Like,
told you I remodeled the kitchen. Like, right? There's it's the disconnect that creates that annoyance. It's not because they have to talk to some, like they don't care. It's not the other person, it's the disconnect.
it's the disconnect. Exactly. And notice it's annoyed. So that's not like rageful, because if they were rageful, you'd probably hear about it. If they're just annoyed, you might never even really hear that feedback from them. So that's why we're kind of camping on this, you guys, because you may not hear all of this stuff from your
Yeah.
client. And then you're wondering why you didn't get a 5-star review. Gosh, I thought I did a good job. Why doesn't that person ever refer me? Why did they use a different agent? Because they probably felt this way throughout the transaction and maybe never shared it.
Mhm.
And you probably have no idea.
Exactly. Yep. Identifying potential pain points.
Yeah.
This is the thinking ahead, right? Anticipating clients' wants and needs. So where are we going to identify like, ooh, these things could come, these annoyances, these could come up, these transfers to the other department, these big key pivotal moments. Like, what are these? We need to define them and then create a system to anticipate clients' wants and needs. And then it's replicatable and we deliver it each time.
Mhm. I think the sort of overarching concept here is really proactively putting yourself in the client's shoes
Every single time.
every single time. This is real estate, high stress, moving, one of
Very
the
high
most
stress.
stressful things ever. Then you can layer in, oh my gosh, they have little kids. Oh my gosh, they're getting divorced. Oh my gosh, somebody died. Like, there is so much potential stress. You have to be highly aware of how your client is feeling. And then the slightest little thing that you can do to ease that is going to be so appreciated. So let's
appreciated.
tell another little story.
Okay.
Okay. So how many times have you spent the night in a hotel and you've never maybe
Raise my
stayed there
hands.
before?
Lots, I don't know. Yes, many times.
And so, you maybe have to get up in the middle of the night to get a drink of water.
I drink all this water every single day. I definitely have to get up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And so what happens a lot of the time?
I don't know where I'm going. I can't see. I probably left my suitcase on the floor and I'm tripping over it.
Totally. Gus's shoe is in the middle of the floor.
Yep.
It's dark. You don't know where the bathroom, you can't see. So most hotels now figured that out. And now there's a nightlight.
So they anticipated my
Potential
need.
pain.
Yes. And they fixed it.
Yeah.
They put in a
Before it was a problem. And then
Love
where you're
it.
like, oh my gosh, that light popped on. How did you?
I just feel good, happy, find my
Yes.
little bathroom.
Surprised maybe, and so pleased.
Right. I might leave a 5-star review about that light.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So just really kind of explaining anything that's coming up in detail, anticipate, go the extra mile, just like think forward in every aspect.
Right. And this goes back to whoever mentioned personalizing the experience.
Yes.
This is how you do that. Okay. If the family has little kids.
Yeah.
And we're trying to show 5 homes that day, maybe bring them, you have a system, they have a little activity pack for the car or whatever.
Coloring books, color crayons, like it's not like you come up with something, right? Maybe they're having a bad day or you heard their cat died or whatever, like bring some lottery tickets. Like, hey, I hope your luck turns around. Like just, it's these little things that just make them feel special and feel good. But at the same time, it's not right. Like I know back over at our office right now, we have, I don't know, like 100 lottery tickets. And when we need it, we grab them. So it's systemized. We've anticipated that this is something we might need. We might want to come up with, we might want to bring them to a showing or what have you. So they're ready to go. We don't have to think and come up with something each time, but it's still personalized to what's going on with that client. So they feel special.
Mhm. So exactly. I think so many agents are like, they do those things, but it's flying by the seat of their pants. It's on the way to the showing. They have to run by Walgreens to pick up a coloring book and snacks. So it's time consuming, it's more expensive.
Or it just doesn't happen.
Or it doesn't
Nothing
happen.
happens, right? It's like, I'm going to find the perfect closing gift for this person who just closed, and I'm going to come up with it. It's going to be amazing. I'll deliver it soon. And then you don't have time. You have other things going on, and it just never happens. So wouldn't it be better to have a system? And if you can plus it, or you want to plus it or whatever, great. And if not, you just have a system.
Yep, ready to
Really
go.
simple.
So we want you guys to think about the sort of life of either a buyer or seller working with you. What are pivotal moments that occur? So from the time maybe that you first meet them until post-closing, what are some pivotal moments? Not super specific, let's be a little bit general, but what would be some examples if you want to put some in the chat room or chat box? Andrea, like what would be maybe one example?
So for me, it would be like inspections, right? Like that's something that's, gosh, something's happening. I should have a system for like, hey, we have X many days to do this and we have to negotiate. We need to hire an inspector. We need to get out there. I need a system. There's so much going on, and it's so important. It's a very pivotal point of the transaction. I need a system for that.
Totally, like anticipating first interaction. Sarah, thank you for
Yep,
contributing that.
Absolutely.
Who else has a great example of a pivotal moment? Any sort of transition, I think.
Yeah, any high stress, well, that kind of means pivotal, right? But like anything that's going on that's out of the ordinary, different, something they haven't experienced before, whether they're a first-time home buyer or not, right? Like even if somebody's bought a home before, it's been years, the process has changed. There's things that are different. So we have to kind of anticipate that this is going to be new and different for them.
Mhm.
There's like literally hundreds. So pretty much anything that you say is going to be correct.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got here? First interaction, you're under contract. Congrats. Now what? Spell it out for
Totally.
them. Good job. Appraisal, handing over keys. Ooh, that's the fun one. First time buyer getting pre-approved and ready to go home shopping. Ruby, really good, right? Like how complex is that situation?
Mhm.
Awesome. All right.
So in general, some pivotal moments. Well, first let's talk about the client feel good camera moment concept.
Okay.
Which would be, how do we insert these little pieces of feeling good for our client? Kind of like we just went over a couple examples, like movie tickets or something for the kids during a showing. So you've identified some of what those could be, and we want them to be,
Yes. What is camera moment?
what's a camera
mean?
moment?
So it means that it's so cool. They want to share it. They want to take a picture and post it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and hopefully tag you in it. Look how cool my realtor is. Look what they just did for me. They sent my kids this. They met us at the showing with that. Whatever. Like whatever it is, it's so cool that they want to share it.
Or so thoughtful, or so, it doesn't have to be like some
Fancy.
big, fancy, extravagant thing. It's probably better if it's not. That would be borderline strange. But if it's something that is so thoughtful because it's, again, solving a pain point for them before they even knew it. And they're probably like, oh my gosh, I'm stressing about XYZ. And you showed up with XYZ, whatever it may be.
You made me feel good in some sort of way. All right. Pivotal moments. So here's kind of the big ones. New relationships. Points of transition or handoffs, right? We kind of went through some of those from, we went into contract to, going into contract, right? They might get passed off to title, escrow, transaction coordinator, what have you. Confusing or complex points. Who typed in first time home buyer getting pre-approved and ready to go home shopping? That nails confusing, complex points. Upcoming potential points of conflict. Ooh, good one. So this can happen a lot in negotiations, especially is what comes to my mind. Inspections, right? Like, oh my gosh, we want to buy the perfect house. I'm a buyer. I want X, Y, and Z. Okay, we already, sometimes we know the seller's not really going to do that. Like, how do we manage that? How do we control expectations and help our clients get the most possible, right? Because that's what we're hoping for at the end of the day, or what we're aiming towards, without just being like, you're in charge, sure, let's try it, right? We need to anticipate what's going on and give them expectations.
What about, as the agent, you need to get a price reduction and you're anticipating, that's a potential point of massive conflict. Raise your hand if you have an overpriced listing right now. Probably most people.
Like everyone. Yep.
So what are you doing to set that up proactively to reduce the odds of it being a point of conflict? There still may be some, but how do you reduce it before it's even a problem?
Mhm. Right, like maybe up front at the listing appointment, just an
Right?
idea.
Yeah.
Upcoming potential points of bad news. Those buyers lost their loan and they're going away, right? So like things happen. And as long as we're communicating, we're being upfront, we have a system to communicate and be upfront, right? Because all these things could come up in a million different ways, and we're not always going to know exactly what could or couldn't happen. We might experience it over time, but we do all know as agents, all of these things can come up and stuff can happen. So why are we not anticipating that and at least telling us, hey, we're accepting this offer and the buyer still has to get a loan. They have to go through XYZ. Let's be excited, but let's hold on popping the champagne until we get through these steps, right? Anticipate or just be proactive in what can happen so that when something does happen, they're not like, oh my gosh, well, we already, signed, sealed, and delivered on something else.
Right. Sarah, I love what you say, setting expectations around pricing. Absolutely. So much of this comes from a setting expectation up front first perspective. That solves so much. So we're going to get into some specific ways and strategies to do that.
Yeah. So all of these, these 5 points. Okay, guys, it's a little bit much. Here's a few. We're going to keep going, but there's tons. Somebody already said first meeting. There's tons of things that can come up that we can create a system to create a 5-star experience around.
So remember, it's efficiency, consistency, and scalability, right? So how do we make every first meeting set up for success? We're going to have a system around how we do our first meetings
That we can
that we
replicate
follow
each time.
every time. Yes, of course, it's personalized to what we know about that person,
Of course.
but in general, it's a systemized process we follow every time.
Right. A part of that process might be we're going to pull market stats on the house that they're interested in.
We
Okay.
always bring this packet. We always bring these things. We always start our presentation a certain way, what have you.
Post first meeting and how to proceed.
Okay, so this is a big one because if you've got a listing coordinator or an executive assistant, or even if it's just you yourself, after you've met someone, you need to have clarity around what you do next.
So
Does the
let's-
client have clarity around what's going to happen next?
Did they tell you something that you need to let your executive assistant or listing coordinator know so there's not a disconnect and an annoyance when you pass that on to the next person?
Right.
So we're going to share with you this isn't on the slides, but we'll send it to you after class. What we call a post-appointment interview, which is basically just a sheet of paper that has, I don't know, a dozen or so questions on it of key points of things that might have come up, might need to be talked about, might need to be covered, or should have been covered, and maybe we need to go back and do because we forgot at the presentation, to make sure that the agent and whoever is helping that agent, or if it's the agent doing both sides of it, has what they need to proceed forward.
So this specifically works with a listing appointment. So on one side, it's, yeah, they signed the listing. Here's all the stuff we need to know, or we know now, or no, they did not sign the listing contract. Here's what we need to do next. Here's also what we still know now, right? So it's clarifying for you, the listing agent, and also creating a tool to hand off to anyone who is helping you and who will service that client next, even if that's still you.
Also, this can't all live in your brain, right? Like, I hope the goal of taking all of these classes for 10 days and being involved in coaching and what have you is to do more business. And when we do more business, that's more details to keep track of. So the idea of taking a second to write this all down or download with somebody and have this somewhere, whether they sign the contract or not. If they sign the contract, yes, great, cool. Now we kind of know what to do moving forward. And if they didn't, great. Now what do we need to do to secure that business or come back to, or are they waiting or whatever? Scan it into your database, keep it somewhere and go back to it, but don't let it all live in your head because you will not remember all of these details. And then come 3, 6, 9 months later, when they're ready to transact with you, or you finally got that price reduction and it sold, and you don't remember what they were going to do next, or why they were moving, or Or like, that doesn't look very good. That creates an annoyance. Well, if you take that time to write it all down and you have a set list of questions so that you get the right things written down, you can just go back to it.
Well, and this again, like we talked about before, is where you learn from messing up, right? But your system should then remedy whatever your mistake was. So for example, I just saw one of the questions on the form is who sends the thank you note? So
should we send a thank you note?
if I'm the
Sounds like a
listing
system.
agent, I might say, well, you send the thank you note. Maybe you're my executive
Okay.
assistant or you're my listing coordinator. So I would indicate that. If that weren't on here, is there 100% clarity around who sends a thank you note?
I don't think thank you note is getting sent if it's not on here. Not gonna happen,
I hope I remember,
but I probably won't.
and you're not gonna know. You don't even know I
What I
had
don't
it.
want to do, what if you did it?
And what did I say? What would be appropriate to say? So that's just a little tiny example of like, then you wake up, I'm the agent. Andrea, did you send the thank you note?
Oh, shoot, I thought you were doing it. I don't know what to say.
Oh no, a week's passed. We didn't send a thank you note.
Oh,
Like
didn't get
that's
that
just
listing either.
a little example, but okay, great. Put it on your form as part of your system. We will never not send a thank you note again. Problem solved.
And
Just
again-
by adding it to a form.
Exactly. And again, this form you'll get after class, but please, right, everything that's on here is just, there's a copy of our form that we're using at our sales team. That doesn't mean it's all the right questions and stuff for you. Take it, personalize it, put on there what you need. It's the system that matters. Have a system, whatever that is. Maybe
And
you
to-
don't like a written piece of paper like we do. It doesn't
Use
matter.
a Google Doc,
Yeah.
use a Google form, use it as part of your CRM, whatever. Remember, we're not getting hung up on the tool. It's the concept.
Mhm.
This is also very proactive. Let's see, let's look at some other
Oh,
examples.
okay. All right. Oh, this is a good one, right? Seller dealing with showings, cleaning, kids, pets, etc.
Okay, put yourself in their shoes.
Stressful. I have twins. I have a big dog. If I have to get all that cleaned up and out of the house for a showing, that's stressful. That's stressful. If I come back and there's mud tracked through and you as the agent don't follow up with me and tell me what happened, like it's just a stressful process. So how much
And who are you
difference-
directing that stress to?
You as the
Naturally,
agent.
right?
because it's just your fault, I decided. But it is like, right? Like that's just what people do. So what if back up, we had a system where we tell our sellers, look, I know it's going to be hard. I know you have to get the twins ready out of the house. You got to get the dog out of the house. Guess what? It's raining now. They might track mud in. Sorry, but it might happen. So just know that that could happen. Check the back door when you're home. Make sure it's locked because they might have left that open. But here's a couple movie tickets. Here's the day of doggy daycare for Teddy. Try to relax. Go enjoy your Saturday. We'll make sure we communicate with all of the agents of what's going on. Make sure the door's locked. And I'll provide any feedback I have to you the next morning.
Here's a list of checklist for you, seller, of what could happen during a showing
And what to do to prep for the showing.
and how to
maybe.
prepare. Exactly.
Having that system and just knowing the expectations, right? Like me as a consumer, oh, okay, yeah, I'm still gonna be mad when somebody tracks mud through my house. But you said it was gonna happen. You're the expert. Like, great, I know I'm annoyed. That's fine. You gave me movie tickets. That was cool. Like the girls enjoyed the movie. And I'm not annoyed because I know you're gonna follow up with me tomorrow morning and let me know how everything went. Right. So this is spilling out of my head because we created a system that we followed so many times that now it is internalized, but you got to create that system first. What are those high points? Identify them and then put that system in place so that you're getting rid of annoyances.
Right. And so basically it's a summary of agent, make sure you cover all these things with the client. Make sure you cover what their best method of showing should be. What should the showing instructions say based on their situation? You can do this, this, or this. So there's no gray or confusion.
And you're keeping it within your control, right? Options always give kind of control, kind of helps. Then you
Exactly.
can create 3 systems and give them the option of what works for them.
Right.
All righty, moving along. 5-star communication, still on it.
Okay. So you guys probably know this. According to the National Association of Realtors, what do you think buyers and sellers' biggest complaint about realtors is? Type in the chat box.
Put it in.
You can probably guess.
Oh,
Good job, Alex.
not saying you're right. Oh,
Communication, absolutely.
All right, we're nailing it. Good job, guys.
Okay, so 3 things to think about to deliver 5-star communication. And it's a lot of what we've been talking about already. It's thorough and complete. You always identify who, what, when, where, why, how. Andrea, there's
Yes.
going to be a home inspection tomorrow. As the agent, what are all the things you need to cover then with me, the seller?
Ooh, well, I need to cover with you who's the inspector,
Okay.
who's going, what we're doing, home inspection, general, sewer scope, radon, like what's going on. When is it? It's at 3 o'clock tomorrow. So I'll show up. Should we be there at the beginning or halfway through? I don't know. Where it's at the home. Why? Because that's what you do, right? We have, when we buy really expensive properties, we do home inspections to figure out what's going on, if anything needs to be corrected, if we want to move forward. How will it happen? You're going to give me your best times. I'm going to contact the inspector. We're going to set a time together that works with the seller, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
Thorough and complete. It's
Thorough
not,
and complete.
it's not, we're going to do a home inspection.
Home inspection tomorrow, 3 p.m. Is that okay?
I don't know what that means.
Okay,
I've
I
never
don't,
done a
I
home
don't know
inspection.
what that means. Yep. So again, creating these template emails or template checklists or template
Template, everything.
conversations so that you're covering the same things every single time and you're being thorough and complete.
Mhm.
Communication needs to be delivered timely. Well, what does that mean? I mean, we all reality
What is
have
timely?
different standards of timeliness. So what is yours? And just be clear that you're communicating what that is to your team, to your vendors, but
your
also
clients
to your
even,
clients.
Right? Like, hey, if you email me after 8 o'clock, I'm not going to get back to you till the next morning. If you email me or call during business hours, I'll get back to you within 1 hour or whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever your standard is, that's probably fine as long as it's communicated, and maybe re-examine it if it's too long. But here, this part's really good. So what do you think the biggest communication mistake made is? Using the chat box. What's the biggest communication mistake that we make?
Besides lack of, although it's, I don't want to give
Don't
it away.
give it away.
All right, not everybody at once. What's the biggest communication mistake? Oh,
Method, assuming they know, lack of, waiting until your client asks,
oh,
using terminology. Well, these are all really good, guys.
Yes. Using
Realtor
terminology they
speak.
don't understand. Yes.
Okay, those are all really good. Definitely take note. The biggest communication mistake made is that we wait until we have the answer before we get back to a client. So for instance, or anybody, for instance, hey, what's the, I don't know.
HOA.
What's the showing feedback on the showing yesterday? Can I have the showing feedback? What happened?
Yeah, what did they think?
Oh, shoot. My seller just emailed me. They want showing feedback. Let me call in and I'm going to work on this and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, the buyer's
agent's
agent's not
answer.
calling me back.
Oh, they're waiting to hear from their
Oh,
client.
okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Okay. How does my seller feel?
Time is ticking.
They didn't,
My house has been sitting on the market for 45 days.
they have no idea that I'm working on getting this and they're trying to communicate with the buyer and blah, blah, blah. They don't even know if I read my email. They don't
What
even
I'm
know if I'm
actually
alive.
thinking, Andrea, is that you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you don't care about me. You don't worry. You're not concerned about my listing. You're not helping me.
And you should feel that way because I didn't communicate. I read your email. You don't know that. I'm working on it. You don't know that. I'm waiting. You don't know that.
Right.
How could I have solved that problem?
Super easy. We have a 2-word magical answer. On it.
Oh, on it.
On it. I'll let you know by 5 p.m. this afternoon. On it. I'll let you know by 10 a.m. tomorrow. On it.
On it.
I'll let
Just
you
on
know
When I have that
when
information.
yes.
And then maybe I'll circle back around if I still don't have it. Right? Just something. I read your email. I got it. I'm on it. I'm working on it. Like what? Communicate that you understand and you're working on it. Because if you don't, people just assume the worst.
Yeah. And so when does the on it response need to
Immediately.
come in?
Immediately.
As
soon as you see
soon
it.
as you can.
What? Because it doesn't take any time. Like I can be running into a meeting and see that and be like, I'm on it.
Now, what's a trick for buying yourself more time? Because if all I got as the consumer was on it,
Mhm.
I'm going to be like, okay, she's on it. So where's my answer? 5 minutes later, Andrea, I still don't have the feedback.
Mhm.
So how could you buy yourself more time as the agent? Because you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I can't deal with that until 4 p.m. today because I've got this and this and this.
Yeah. The biggest thing there is just going to be giving them sort of I'll check back in with you at 5. I'll give you what I have at 5. I'll check back. I'm on it and I'll get back to you at 5. And then at 5, you better be getting back to them, whether you have it or not. You might need to then buy yourself more time. That's okay.
Totally.
That's not the problem at hand. You got to be on it.
Yeah. And so here's where you can employ a tip from Chase Craig, which I love and use 900 times per day. Set yourself an alarm. 4:30, 4:45, whatever time you're supposed to get back to your client, set yourself a phone reminder.
Exactly. Yeah.
Find out about the feedback for Andrea so you don't forget. But the point is that's coming immediately. You're buying yourself time to find the information. Your client is like, after they get an audit, it's like,
They're good.
oh, great.
They're
Okay,
good.
thanks.
I mean, you got to circle back eventually, right?
Yes.
Like that's just that's what you have to do. But it's not a drop everything fire. You bought yourself time, go to your meeting, do what you need to do, work on what you need to do, call for that feedback, and then get back to them and update them again. It's 5 o'clock. You know what? I still don't have anything. I'm working on it. I've reached out several times. If I will get you the information when I have it, or I'll circle back with you tomorrow morning, right? So just keep giving them communication. Always express gratitude. Always come from a place of thankfulness. Thank you for that question. Thank you for that. I appreciate your business.
I think this is really underutilized and under-recognized is how important it is. Like A, is your mindset one of gratitude, and B, are you expressing it?
Yep.
All right. So a couple key handoffs, because remember, this is where a lot of people have complaints. These are all people
That you could be handing off
that
to.
you may be in a handoff situation with.
Right. So solo agents don't go away, right? Because I know we're seeing executive assistant, showing agent, listing court. I don't have any of those. I don't have any of those. Okay, cool. What about your lender, title, escrow officers or attorneys, other vendors that you're passing clients off to? There's always a handoff to somebody. You're not doing everything. You're not a home inspector. You're not the appraiser. You're not the lender. Like you are doing these handoffs. So it's important to have a system.
So how are you doing or setting up this successful relationship with this next person?
Formal
introduction. This is a template email that you can use every time, a formula you can follow in which you're selling them to the client. It's not just here's my home inspector, or it's not just here's my transaction coordinator. You are selling them in the sense that, oh my gosh, I'm referring you to my very best, most experienced, most skilled VIP home inspector ever. How does the client feel versus here's my home inspector?
Much
I
more
mean, it's
amazing,
easy, right?
Right.
But if you're going to forget to do that, if it's not templated out for you to use every single time.
Exactly. Yep. And sell them to the client, right? So let's go back to the listing coordinator example. If I'm handing you off to my listing coordinator, I'm going to sell them, right? Like this person is amazing. They're going to keep track of all of the details. They're going to make sure that your listing is perfect. They're going to follow up on all the showings as it happens, provide you that feedback. I'm going to be copied on everything. I'm going to step in at key moments, well, all of the moments, and interpret that information for you. But they're really good at this. That's what they do all day long, is sit there and work on listings, right? I'm out in the field. I'm negotiating. I'm sitting here with you right now. That's why I'm putting them in charge of this piece of the transaction. Clarity about what the client, clarity to the client about what this person will do. I kind of just rattled about that. But what about also how they're like better at it than you, right? Like we have a dedicated marketing person to do marketing. You don't want me doing your marketing. I'm really good at negotiations. I am not good at marketing. That is why you want this person doing your marketing. So sell them and explain why.
Yep.
Copy on all communications. This is huge for anybody that's working together in business, whether it's a co-listing buyer, whether it's a showing agent, transaction coordinator, EA, whatever, copy on communication. So email to CC, always make sure everybody's on it, on the chain. Fun fact, people don't understand how to hit the reply all button. So you might have to keep adding them back in but keep them added in. Start a text chain with everybody on it and always go back to that. Super key.
All right, so here are just some specific examples of systems that we've seen teams employ that work really effectively. Again, if you're a solo agent, this is a process. These are processes you would do yourself just to provide that
Absolutely.
seamless experience, right? So what's your appointment prep process? We use a
Pink sheet, which is basically just a seller questionnaire. The reason why we call it a pink sheet is because we print it on pink paper. Because white paper gets lost and pink paper doesn't. So really that's
again, don't freak out about, you might be like, oh my gosh, you use paper, what? Use a Google Doc, maybe you want it in email, maybe it's somehow in your CRM, it doesn't matter. The point is you have a series of questions you ask every single seller before the appointment, period.
And we'll send you a copy of ours. It'll be sent to you after this class. But specifically, the whole point here is that there's questions that you ask a seller before the appointment to help you prep for it. So I'll share with you my favorite question, and I'll be honest, there's 14 questions on here, but this one's my favorite. You'll get this copy. If you decided to sell your home, what are the 3 most important qualities you expect from a realtor?
Why do you care about that?
Because I'm asking this, I don't know, a day, 2 days, 3 days before the appointment, and they're telling me, guess what number 1 usually is?
Does it start with a C?
And ends with a communication? Yes. Communication is usually the number 1 thing that comes up in the quality that they're looking for in an agent. But don't I want to know that in anything else so that I can prepare, so I can come over prepared with my value proposition of how I communicate, what I'm going to do to list and sell their home or communicate with them about it, etc. Right? So like, if I don't know that up front, I can't prepare for the appointment. So that's why having this process is important.
And you know their hot buttons. You know what's going to be really important for them throughout the transaction. And guess what? I'm going to share that because it's on a form that we use every time with the rest of my team. When you're working with this client, understand these 3 things are most important to them.
Exactly.
We do the same thing post-appointment. So if there's an agent listing coordinator or agent EA or just agent, there's a series of questions. Usually these are derived from mistakes we've made in the past, like, oops, I forgot about that, or oops, I had to ask them this for the 50th time. Here, it's all on one sheet. We will have this to refer to throughout the transaction, how to proceed next, what's happening for marketing, what they love their staircase so much, it must be featured in the photos.
But there is weird stuff like that,
you know,
right?
like you miss that could be a deal breaker. That could be the rat that shows up on the plate, right?
Exactly.
So this templated form, which again, you'll get all of this, you guys, after the presentation, this templated form is that trigger to remember, and then it's forever there as part of the transaction to deal with this client at the highest level.
Mm-hmm. Marketing system, we should have a system for marketing, right? What does it take to get from A to Z with a listing? Sign contract to on the market. What does that look like? What's the marketing system around that? Honeymoon communication, we will send this to you, but in short, it is a 10-day honeymoon period, right? Honeymoons are happy. There's a lot of communication during them. It's a communication, 10-day communication between us and the client to let them know what's going on about their listing, to provide them with data and information, that all of that, we'll send it to you.
It's really sealing the relationship in that first 10 days to build the highest level of trust before, guess what? You either have to get a price reduction or negotiate a crappy offer or no offer or repairs or whatever. They trust you. They believe in you. They know you're working so hard because you've sealed that relationship with this high level touch campaign for that first 10 days.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Monday morning, Friday afternoon updates. Monday mornings, people want to know what happened over the weekend. So that's a given, obviously, and morning because they don't want to wait. Friday afternoon updates are just kind of a wrap up, like, hey, anything I need to know or I can help you with going into the weekend. And by the way, anything that happens over the weekend, we will deliver to you Monday morning, setting up expectations.
So it's also being really proactive and hopefully allowing you to have a somewhat better weekend yourself.
Yes.
Because guess what? People are home on the weekend. They're not working. They have more time to
Think, process, ask questions.
Oh my gosh, what about this? Why haven't they done that? If you proactively connect with them, by the way, this is a phone call. It is not a text. It is a phone call because you need to pull out of them questions, concerns. You can hear their voice. Gosh, they sound annoyed. Gosh, they sound really nervous. Andrea, are you sure everything's okay? I know that was hard to hear that negative feedback from that showing yesterday.
Mhm.
That a text message is not going to give you that, neither is an email. So don't think, oh, I fired off a text, I'm good for the weekend, and then wonder why your client is upset, annoyed, hounding you all weekend long.
Responding to it at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, yep. So it's proactive on Friday, and you're setting them up, just like you said, for that Monday update to give the summary of the weekend.
All right, so that was listing coordinator. This is transaction coordinator, which is right, it's just contract to close. So new escrow sheet, we got to get the transaction coordinator what they need. I know a lot of people outsource transaction coordinating. Maybe you're doing it yourself. I don't know. But putting all of that down, again, we'll send you this new escrow sheet, but putting all the information down, that's important. All the nuances about clients. Oh, you really need to know they're super interested in this, or they have questions about that, or they're work
It's a
nights
divorce,
or
it's
whatever.
Yeah.
Like know the situation, pass that information on. Again, it's systematized. It asks kind of some of those questions to jog your memory of what to include so that everybody's on the same page. New escrow email from the transaction coordinator. They're going to send out an email introducing themselves. But remember, before we're selling the we're selling the next step, the handoff as well. So we've already sold our client. She's the best transaction coordinator ever. She'll be reaching out to you. Then she reaches out, or he, I guess, ours is a she. Closing plan template that utilizes template emails at key points of the transaction. Do we know every single step of what's going to happen, anticipating the next need and the template email that needs to go out in order to address that? Monday morning, Friday afternoon updates. We kind of hit this pretty hard just a minute ago. And then clear roles, right? So this really could work for, well, this specific one is between agent and transaction coordinator that you'll see down here. And it's just having clear roles. Who's going to do what? Let's not step on each other's toes. This is just, we know I always own this. You always own this.
Remember, when you're building out a system, you've got to be able to answer the who, what, when, where, why, how.
And that's exactly
This is
what
the
this
who,
does.
and it's what they're doing. And sometimes you need to indicate the how, oftentimes not. And hopefully they know the why
And the when.
internally. So this is an internal system that we will share with you. We do not show this to the client. It's
No.
internally who does what.
Right. And you can do this for any position on your team or
Within your
whatever you have,
organization.
right?
Yeah.
Here's just a bunch of other systems to leverage. There's a lot of them. We talked a lot about the transaction, but there's a zillion other things that should be leveraged. Number 4 on here is financials. We brought Mitch on this morning. He's sponsoring this event. That's an amazing thing to leverage off. Like, why would you do that yourself? Leverage that.
And even if these are not systems you necessarily need to leverage to another person, these are points or places that live in your business that need a system around them. So if you have leads, you need a system around how you manage those leads. If you
do open houses, you need a system on how you do open houses.
Right. So it's again, that who, what, when, why, how. And these are just, this is just a short list of places in your business where you want to see those systems built out.
Awesome.
So now we're to post-closing, guys. I know we're a little bit over. I'm so sorry. We had so much stuff to share with you. So we're
gonna keep
buzzing
going
as
for a
fast as
couple
we
minutes.
can.
But if you got to jump off, you can watch the recording, or if you have a couple minutes, stay on with us and we'll wrap up quick.
Yes. So post-closing follow-up. So this is where we could get the delicious dessert or the rat, right? Everything's gone great. You've solved every problem. You've crushed it for your client. And here comes dessert. What's it going to be like?
Post-closing.
Okay. So again, it's that who, what, when, why, and how.
It always is, right? Like just star that, write it down, put it on a Post-it, whatever you need to do. Use your CRM. Ross was talking about a great one on day 3. Database is really important. And Darcy went through this a lot as well. How are you utilizing your database to stay in touch with clients post-closing? Well, there should probably be at minimum a 1-week check-in. Oh, did you get moved in? Everything okay? How's it going? All right, cool. We haven't talked in a week and we were talking a whole bunch. Like, let's check in. A month. Now you're probably pretty settled, right? They're moved in. They got pictures on the wall. They're trudging along. Something might have broken by now and they need a vendor referral. 6 months. And then after that, we do every single year, right? So that's just this is a system within other systems. It's not like we're only communicating with past clients once a year, but every year they should be getting some sort of anniversary check-in. Client events. This is, again, right? Those post closing, you're going to roll into just the database and probably get invited to client events. Coupons. This is something we really like to do, is provide coupons to vendors. Like, I don't know, it's really rainy here. So we may call up our roofer and say, hey, can you give us a coupon for $50 off gutter cleaning or $500 off a full roof replacement that we can send out to our database of thousands of people and get you more business, and we can provide value.
Now, by the way, this is that anticipating needs and pain, because we're not going to send that in July,
That would be not a good
right?
idea.
So put yourself in your client's shoes. What might be happening in their life if they live in Portland, Oregon in November? They're dealing with rain. So how can we alleviate that? We want to do a pop by. Maybe it's a branded umbrella. So it's that personalization connected to pain or need. That's critical.
Exactly. Yeah. Gold bars. Chase talked about this on day 2. How are we handing out gold bars versus asking for something? So post closing, as we talked about in the beginning, we want to stay in touch for repeat business. They may need to buy or sell again. And we want those referrals, but we're not calling and asking. We're giving gold bars. So we're giving coupons. That's a gold bar. You're giving out gold bars, giving them something in order to, right, create that return for yourself as well. VIP list, or talk about that.
Yeah, VIP list, working within your CRM, building out a system where maybe you pull out those VIPs. Who are those repeat clients? Who are those people that refer you the most? Those people are special. And so what system do you have catered just to those people?
Right. Maybe it's a wine event. Maybe it's a personalized whatever. Just, it's good to identify those people and then come up with ways to touch them. 24 plus touch plan, right? So this is, again, Darcy talked about this a little bit on day 3, but having this touch plan for your past clients, your sphere of influence, et cetera. But your past clients, right, they're getting this. We talked about this. It's a yearly check-in. That's 1. All right, we need 23 more. Maybe we're doing 2 client events. There's 3. So anyway, looking at a calendar. So now we're in the end of 2022. Let's look at 2023 and let's build out a touch calendar. What does that look like? How are we reaching out to them? Is it Facebook message? Is it text message, email, pop buys? Like, there's dozens of ways to do it. We got to have a plan in place, or else we're going to wake up in July and we reached out to people 0 times so far that year.
Or it's like July 2nd. Oh, we should have done some cute thing for 4th of July. Well, too late now,
Yeah,
right? How often does that happen?
a lot.
And this to me is so critical. Who is doing it? It's probably a combination. Is your title company helping you? Is your lender participating? You have to get that figured out in advance. Is your, team of buyer's agents going to do pop buys? Is your executive assistant? Is your mom? Who is it that's helping you with each of these pieces post-closing?
Because if it all falls on you and you have no system, it's never going to happen. If it all falls on you and you have a system, might be a little bit rough, but you can make it happen. And if you have others, you can just make it big.
Yep.
Social media, again, huge. This is where we find a lot of feel goods and camera moments. So if you friended, followed, whatever, your past clients, you can see when their kid breaks their leg. You can see when their dog dies. You can see when they have a baby, and then you can send them a feel good.
And you've got to block time to do this, to engage with them on social media. And that's exactly where you identify those feel goods. All right. So maximizing your return, right? That's kind of the whole point of all of this. You're building this culture of productivity. So how do you do that with systems? Well, it begins with goals and goal setting, that yearly business planning, and there's got to be a connection with accountability. So accountability, for it to work, has to be really consistent.
Like super consistent.
Which means it must be systemized. So a couple key places, it's that yearly business planning.
Where you kind of come up with everything and you set out what that vision is going to look like. You create the system of what it's going to look like.
Right, exactly. Then you got to check in on that. How many times have you set that goal and then you write it on some cool form
And then you pull it
never
out a year
maybe look
later.
at it again. It's like,
Never.
shocker, I didn't hit my goal. What do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the yearly business planning, and then we've got to have a weekly meeting, a weekly check-in.
Mhm. So if you have a team, it's your whole team. Maybe you have escrow partners or, whoever else is involved in your team, that's great. And then if you have a team, right, you need individual, right? Because you might have a buyer's agent who has a goal to sell 25 homes. You might have a buyer's agent that has a goal to sell 10 homes. But as a team, your goal is to sell 100 homes. So we're tracking both and we're checking in on both and holding each highly accountable.
As you, the owner, the business owner, each person in your organization is responsible for their piece of the goal. And if you're not checking in on that, or if someone's not checking in on that, perhaps you have a director of sales or you have a director of operations. If someone is not consistently checking in on that, it will not work. You will not realize the goal that you set. So team owners, solo agents, solo agent with an assistant, it doesn't matter. Like, there has to be that consistency of checking in on the goal.
Well, and the goal may be, I want to sell 50 homes from past clients. And if we're not checking in on that, how do we know if we hit it?
Right.
Like, I don't know. Daily reports, these are really great for, are you up to date on your database management? Are you up to date on what you wanted to do today? Are you up to date to the minute of how many houses you wanted to sell this week, month, year, whatever? And just looking at it real time every single day.
Right. So there could be this, oh, I had a great week. Oh,
What does that mean?
what was your great week? Like, did you have a great week, or you just
Or were you busy?
feel like you had a great week? And the numbers don't lie. So we love the numbers because they tell the true story. So you've got to look at them, but first you've got to track them.
Oh.
Tracking, ew. Again, lots of different ways you can track numbers. CTE is a great program. Sisu, Google Docs, however you want to track your numbers. Tracking is critical.
Here's just things to track, right? There's the obvious, like outreaches, calls, contacts, appointments attended, etc. But then don't we also want to know sale fails? Like, oh, that's weird. We had a lot of sale fails this year, or by this one source, or this particular agent is having a lot of sale fails. What are they doing?
Or why was this month so high in sale fails versus this other month?
Yeah, right. It's interesting to know and to be able to correct from. Sources of business. Where are we getting our business from? So we know where to hone in and get more, or is there a leg of our business that's not working that should be, or what have you? Title company, lender, financials, tasks, right? That would be like, if you have, which you should, a database with follow-ups to check in with leads. Are you doing that? Are you up to date on it? Are there 100 that are overdue?
Andrea, how many times have you started coaching a new team and they're like, don't look at our database?
Like every
And we're
single
like,
time.
why?
The mess.
I
mean, we
have
195
995 overdue tasks.
And what is the point of having them?
Yeah. So it's that accountability piece, but it starts with the tracking. And then of course we want to track reviews.
Right.
All right. So wrapping it all up, do your systems provide that 5-star experience, which we know then leads to the
maximizing
the
title of the class.
Yeah, the title of the class, right? So how do you know? Well, you're going to get a lot of 5-star reviews.
You know what's cool about our 5-star reviews that we've been getting lately? Our transaction coordinator has been mentioned in them. Our listing coordinator is mentioned in them. So we know, right, toot our own horn a little bit, but we know they're doing a great job because they're being mentioned in the 5-star review. So, right, that process has been figured out. So that's a key measurement though. Have we, again, right, tracking how many reviews do we want to get? How many are we getting? Are they 5-star? That's how we're going to know if we're giving a 5-star experience.
Yeah. And you're going to know if you're getting referrals or if you're not, right? And that's past client, current clients. Maybe you're getting a lot of past client referrals, but 0 current client referrals.
What would that tell you?
Well, maybe there's something amiss during our escrow transaction process, or we're maybe not asking ever.
Yeah, good point. Repeat business, right? Are people coming back to us? Did they enjoy working with us? Did they remember us, right? Like maybe they loved working with us and then we had no post-closing plan and they forgot who we are and their sister got licensed and they used them.
Yeah.
Set a goal and track and report weekly. Kind of hammered that home.
Yep.
All right. I think.
All right. Thanks
we
for bearing
make
with
it?
us. We went a little over. Sorry.
Just a little.
Book recommendations. All of our content that we referenced in terms of definitions or statistics can be found in these books, as well as just our own personal experience working with so many different teams and agents. We hope you got some great value today. We had a great time presenting.
If you guys have any ahas or testimonials, or thoughts or whatever takeaways, put them in the chat box. We'd love to hear them. We love to see that.
Yeah,
Especially
even
since
just
there's so much content. Let us know what was your favorite.
even just one thing that popped in your head, like, ooh, I've got to start doing that, or I can't wait to put that into practice. I mean, even just putting this class together, I came up with some things that we need to go back and refine or plug back into our systems, certainly with the market changing so much. So really look at your seller systems, really look at your listing process, how you're setting up those price reduction conversations. That's going to be a big one that a lot of people none of us have really had to deal with that for a few years.
So it's probably a system that even if we need to kind of rework and revisit.
Yeah.
So there's a lot in here to just really come over. Again, slides, tangibles, you're getting them all. I'd really take some time to maybe print them and like highlight through what you want to put into action. I think especially, gosh, guys, with a 10-day course, you are getting so much information. It is hard to step away from that day after day and put something into action. So just take something, take one thing. What's one thing you can take from today and put into action? Show up tomorrow. What's one thing you can take tomorrow and put into action so that you're building on what you're taking all this time out of your day to learn.
Yeah.
Final slide, coaching versus teaching. All right. So today it was a lot of teaching. It was like fire hose, too much teaching. I'm sorry about that, but I hope you got some value. Coaching is the other side of it, right? It's listening and learning what your needs are, and then really honing in and helping you develop a system, a process, what have you, based around you, your goals, your needs, your business. That's what we do. We coach all day, every day. So if you're interested in learning more about it, or you want a free business consult, use that cute QR code right there. We'd love to talk to you.
And I think one more thing, Andrea, like I loved your analogy of the fire hose, because we just dumped a ton of information. And if you've been regularly committed to all the classes throughout this course, you've gotten so much content. Now what? You know, and to me, that's the power of a coach, can help you see the forest through the trees when it can feel really overwhelming as a business owner, as an agent, whatever your role may be. So to me, having a coach is a no-brainer. You know, we all have coaches. We've actually always had coaches. So if you have any questions at all about what that might look like for you, please let us know. There's zero obligation. We're happy to answer any questions.
All right. Have a good day.